Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug.Show. My name's Doug Cunnington, and in this episode, I have a pretty cool success story. Arielle, I think I got her name right. We were practicing this beforehand, but I get nervous sometimes. But she recently hit $1,100 per month in December of 2021. And we're gonna kind of be focusing on her success. She kind of has a portfolio of sites, but we're going to kind of hone in on one specific site that she has and generally just get to know her a little bit better. So, Arielle, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you, Doug. How are you?
I'm doing good. I always talk about the weather, and we're bracing for a big snowstorm. I think we're supposed to get 5 to 11 inches, so about a foot of snow, and it's going to be cold. It's going to be very cold here. So we're kind of excited about that. What's the weather like where you're at?
In the UK, the weather is always pretty grey, but it was quite sunny today. Still cold, but sunny, so it's okay.
Nice. So we want to hear your story. Can you tell us what you do for a job or what your, working background was or anything you want to share just to lay the context, and then we'll back into how you got started with affiliate marketing and niche sites.
Okay, well, I'm an author. I'm a self-published author, so I've been doing that for a few years now. I've not really had a career per se. I've been doing online stuff, eBay. I had an e-commerce site a while back, which I drove traffic to from Instagram, and that got shut down. Instagram shut that down, which was a main source of income for me. And then I just went full time with writing books, and I've been doing that since, and then found niche sites.
Okay. How long have you been writing?
About 3 years now. 3 years, yeah.
All right. And your story probably mirrors a lot of people where you tried one business model and then another one, and then you worked on Instagram and blah, blah, blah. And it sounds like you hit a couple hurdles and maybe didn't like reach the success that you thought you might. What keeps you going and why do you keep trying new stuff?
I think that's just me. I've got a very entrepreneurial spirit. We spoke before, and I told you when I was in school, I was the kid that was buying sweets and crisps and selling those for a profit. I got into eBay when I was around 16, and I kind of took that same model of buying from China and selling, and I kept doing that for years. So I'm not new to the internet and making money online. So, it's just a natural progression of moving over into finding different ways to make money online. And I just like that freedom that comes with it. So, yeah, I'm always going to do internet stuff.
Have you noticed that the skills from the previous projects are helpful for what you're working on now and just as you are stair stepping up to, higher levels of revenue and that sort of thing?
Yeah, 100%. As I mentioned before, I had a site before. I started on Moonfruit, so I wasn't familiar with WordPress. But understanding registering domains and learning about keyword research, all of these things were I already had some sort of background in, and also designing parts of the website. All of those things, they weren't new to me, and they were quite transferable. So finding niche sites, I wasn't completely blind. So yeah.
Perfect. And before we, learn more about your journey with the niche sites, with your self-publishing business, like, is that going pretty well? I mean, you can earn residually, and I know it's been a hot market for a few years. So does that still work out for you?
Yeah, self-publishing is great without doing anything. As you said, it's intellectual property. So as soon as I put out a new book, that stays there. That's forever. I'm making money every month from that. So self-publishing has really, that pays me every month. So it's very lucrative for me.
Very cool. All right. So how did you get into the niche site area? What pulled you over? Obviously, you've had some success with the self-publishing. So what pulled you in and how did you get started with it?
Um, my sister also makes sites, and she came across Income School, and she sent me the video. She sent me the channel, and I just went down the rabbit hole, and I knew that it was something I was going to do. I was prepared to. I knew it was going to take a lot of work up front, but I was prepared. And as I said, I came across your channel, loads of other channels, and I just kept watching, scrolling all the way down to the old videos, and just really getting clued up on the whole thing. And I started straight away, pretty much.
Very cool. So when we talked, you mentioned that you have like 7 sites. And I think you knew coming in that I was going to tell you you got to you got to focus up a little bit. So can you tell us about the 7 sites sort of in a general sense? You don't have to talk about each one or the specifics of traffic or revenue, but just as a baseline to get us started, can you tell us maybe like the December top line revenue, and then just in general, like what's going on with the sites, and then I'll keep probing into each one of those.
Okay, so yeah, so each of the sites, I didn't start them all at once, but as I learned more about niche sites and keyword research and all of that stuff, I started realizing that the first site I'd chosen wasn't the best to focus all my time on. And then I started another site. And I think as I learned more, I just started new sites and started testing things out. But in December, the second site in the portfolio has earned quite a bit of the thousand, I think is a thousand 100 $1,100, and quite a bit of that is from site two. uh, and yeah, and that was with my basic keyword research with Google. Was it Google Alphabet Soup, or I don't think that's what it's called.
Sure.
um yeah.
Okay. And then did you make any like big mistakes along the way? You mentioned, your basic keyword research when you were on site number 2 and now you're on site number 7. So any sort of classic mistakes or blunders along the way?
um I don't think I made. I think my knowledge of keyword research wasn't up to par at the time. So I probably could have done more with topic clusters and stuff like that. I kind of bounced around different topics, and then when I made site three, I was going off of old information, and I actually done a not WooCommerce, sorry, WZone. I done a WooZone store, and that was kind of outdated information. So I had to go back and I took that store off and just focused on product articles. But yeah, that's the only real thing I've just kind of learned as time's gone on, but no real huge mistakes.
How are you monetizing the sites?
They're all on Ezoic, and Amazon affiliate products, Ezoic, and then they all have different smaller affiliate programs within their niche. So
Was that something that you look for specifically to have like additional affiliate programs to draw from?
yeah, I went looking for them after. Oh, sorry, and they've also got digital products because I do self-publishing, so I find there's ways that you can make digital products and link them to the sites as well. So digital products, Amazon affiliates, and ads. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, so I found programs after making the sites.
And since Site 2 earned the most in December, what was the revenue breakdown for your revenue sources?
From Ezoic, about a third of that was from display ads, and then digital products made about $125, and then other affiliates, so Share a Sale, Awin, those ones, they made about $480, and then about $70 from Amazon affiliates. So it's all
Okay.
really divided.
Yeah, that is a nice spread overall. So a little surprising. A lot of times it ends up being, pretty focused in just, one area because that's where it's getting a lot of the traffic. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, with the keyword research, I want to talk about like how you're doing it now and what you're looking for these days. So, like you mentioned, things have changed. Like you were doing kind of basic stuff at the beginning. So, where have you arrived at now? How are you doing keyword research?
Okay, so from after site two, so from site three onwards, I started doing the KGR. So I was doing alphabet soup and KGR, but I was using keywords everywhere and keyword, it's called keyword sheeter now, but I was using those together and then, checking them against your calculator to see if they were KGR and then just doing loads of KGR terms.
Okay. And for the people that don't know the alphabet soup, can you describe it?
Yeah, so you take a seed keyword, I guess, and you put an asterisk there, or you just start typing in the Google search, and it will fill it out for you, and then you take that and yeah, make an article based on it. So the theory is that if Google wouldn't suggest it if people weren't searching for it.
Yep. And for the people that are familiar with just using Google autocomplete, like that's what it is. Just use autocomplete in a systematic way. They call it alphabet soup because you go through the alphabet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you could do that for like YouTube or other search engines, anything with an auto suggest feature, you could basically do that. So kind of a cool way to get started, and then you end up with a ton of keywords, but you could also look at the related searches or people also ask that come up when you do each one of those individual searches. So it really explodes into a
Yeah.
lot of keywords, but it's just autocomplete. Somebody just called it alphabet soup, which that went that went by me. I heard people use the term for a while and I was like, I don't know what
Oh,
that
okay.
is. Alphabet soup. So
I thought that's what it was called.
I mean, I think some marketer did call it that, but I don't know
No,
who.
okay.
Okay. Um, so back on track, you have the writing background. So do you write a lot of the content on your sites? How has it shifted over time?
Yeah, so I started off writing quite a bit of it. And then as I started to scale up and I had all these sites and I wanted to keep publishing across all the sites, I started hiring writers on Upwork. So yeah, so I've been hiring. I do the template and I'll give them the template and I'll still do the keyword research and check the SERPs and make sure that they write based on my outline. But I do still write. I write the posts that I'm interested in writing, pretty much, and
Got it.
yeah, outsource the others.
As a writer, have you found it to be helpful with your background as a writer when you're hiring them, or do you, or is it tougher because you're maybe holding them to higher standards? So how has it been working with freelancers?
No, it's not been. I'm not too much of a perfectionist when it comes to getting their work back because I'm aware I'm paying. Um, I'm not paying I'm not paying a really high amount per thousand words, so I'm not going to get the best, the best quality writers. But I'm okay with working on an article, so I get it back, run it through Grammarly, and then if anything stands out to me that's just not worded properly, one, I won't keep working with that writer. But two, I can just always edit it myself and it won't be too much trouble.
How much are you paying per thousand words or whatever metric you're using?
I've paid anything from $1 per 100 words to $2 per 100 words. So happy medium is a $1.50 per
Okay.
100 words. Yeah.
All right. And how many writers do you have working with you right now?
Seven at the moment. Yeah, seven. They do come and go, but I've got, I think, four of them are solid, and I hope to keep them on. And as I earn more, be able to pay them more and keep them around. Others, they'll work for you for a bit, and then they kind of burn out or start sending things late, and then yeah, you just kind of gotta let them go.
Right. With your content and topics and the way you hire writers, is it important to get someone that's familiar with the content in general and the topic, or can you just hire any old writer?
I try to. It depends on what the niche is. If it's very technical, if it needs, if they need to be an expert in the field, I have my most the $2 per 100 word writer that I had. She was an expert in the niche, and she just wanted some side work. She'd been injured, and she just wanted to do some writing. So I got some really really good articles, and I was able to put her author bio on the site and whatnot with her, go back to her LinkedIn. So sometimes it depends on the niche, but I do I give them enough information on the template for them to go and research and get a decent article out of them.
And do you have like a pretty standard template for like product reviews and then maybe a couple other types, or
So I
I
had
guess how do you manage them? Yeah.
yeah, I had a few basic templates for, like you said, product reviews, the responding to questions. I've got some of your templates as well. So the Q&A one I use a lot now. Um, the product reviews one, and what's another one? And the listicles. So general templates, with telling them that not to use too long paragraphs, so three line paragraphs and things like that, telling them how to link in the text and stuff like that. But then, yeah, more detailed based on the types of posts.
Okay. Very good. Anything else content wise that I didn't ask you about that's important to your process?
Um, are we allowed to talk about AI writers? Because I do use that as well.
Sure. Yeah. I would love to talk about it. I got a couple questions today about it. So yeah,
Oh,
what's with the
really?
AI? How do you use them? What do you do?
So I actually made a video on this. I use, can I say the specific one or?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I use Jarvis, or his name's Jasper now. And I go through the SERP. So there's a few different tools that show you SERP out the top 10 and the top 20. And then I'll grab some H2s of the all the top results, and I'll put that in Jarvis, and that will help me outline the post and write. I think I've wrote better posts than some of the top 10 and 20 using that method. I don't know if that was
So
clear.
yeah, no, I'm gonna ask a follow up because I think I understand. So basically, you feed in like H2, so any particular section is only a few sentences long that you're using AI generated content.
Yeah, so I'll help it along the way. I'll get the outline, and then I'll, give it some information, and then it can go based on that. But I do still quite write quite a bit of it. But yeah, it gathers a lot of information from the H2s.
When you get the output, is it just a matter of editing so that it sounds more clear? Does it give you some completely 100% usable output? Maybe it writes 60% of it. You could fix it up a little bit and then you could add a sentence or two. Like,
Yeah,
how helpful is it?
that's pretty much it. It really is. I know you're not convinced, but it really is helpful, because yeah, most of the time it does generate good text. It's not going to give you non-factual information if you feed it the right stuff. And I think what people tend to do is just click compose without giving it any direction. And it's taken a lot of information, so it can go, if you leave it to it will go wherever it wants to go. So yeah, give it enough information. Put some facts ahead of it as well. You can put bullet points to give it some facts, and it will go based on whatever you've given it.
So you could give it some basically a good outline,
Yeah,
and the outline could be driven by H2 or H3 tags from other successful, well ranking articles, and you could feed it specific bullet points.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And based on that, I can see how it can work. Now, let's say you have a pretty specific outline and you feed that as the input. How good is the content coming out? Would that just need a minor edit?
Yeah, pretty much. You'd want to put, like, for instance, without going into too much details, I wrote a post about NFTs, and it doesn't necessarily. I think the GPT-3, I think it was 2019 that it read the internet and whatnot. So it doesn't necessarily have the most up to date information on NFTs. So you'd give it the basics, what you want to talk about, the basics of it, and then you'd add your own voice to it. So I'm really good at the same way I would with my hired writers, just going in and making it, putting your own voice to it. And that's kind of what you have to do so it doesn't sound like AI generated text.
Okay. Yeah, this is very interesting. This is probably the deepest conversation I've had with someone on how they were able to use it. Okay, so I have a better understanding on how usable the content is and what it might take to get good output.
Yeah.
So does it rank pretty well? Like, is this what you're using on the couple sites that are doing better than the others?
Uh, I've used it on all of my sites. So all the articles that I write on my sites, I do use AI. And what I was saying, somebody said something about Google deranking their AI generated posts, and I said, if how would Google know that it's been written by AI? If it shouldn't know. If you've done a good enough job, if you've done all your on-page SEO, you've done your outlines, then it wouldn't know that it's a AI generated post. So I've not had any issues. All of my, I've not had any issues with any of my posts. They're all going up.
And up until 30 minutes ago, I probably would have said it's shitty, and that's why Google knows. And a person can write shitty content. It
Yeah,
doesn't take
exactly.
an AI writer. I've gotten back bad content.
Yeah, exactly. That's I've said that as well, because some writers I've had, their introductions and stuff, they're really bad, and I could actually take that into the AI tool, and there's a feature called content improver, so you could actually take their introduction and click improve, and it makes it a lot better. So yeah, I've had bad writers that AI writes better than.
You're making me think about, well, some projects that I could work on and potentially train writers,
Your
really just
writers to use.
editors,
Yeah,
to use the tools effectively. I've
yeah.
definitely seen some poor implementations, but it sounds like if you use them right, you're in much better shape. And we'll move on in a second. But I get the question 2 times per week in the live streams,
Wow.
basically. And
Wow.
it's extremely boring for me to answer the same thing over and over again. And
Yeah.
if you actually see the live streams, you could
I've
see
seen
when
it
the
before.
chat comes through and my face, drops. But I I believe most people that are thinking about the AI content, they're just lazy. And if they
Yeah.
use it, it's not going to work. And that's why I'm pretty confident, like, just making fun of it the whole time. So, okay. Moving on from there, and anything else about content? We went deep on AI, which I think we may be able to focus like a whole other show on. So maybe
We
we can do
definitely
that.
could. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Now, we have been talking about site number 2 quite a bit, and site number 7 has been doing pretty well too. So I think that one's about 5 months old, if I remember correctly. So can you tell us a little bit about site number 7?
Yeah. So as you said, site number seven is 5 months old. It has 200 articles on it at the moment. And I done KGR with that, and I just really front loaded the content. So I put up as much as I could. I hired a few writers in the very beginning, and I got all my keywords together, and yeah, just put up as much as I could, and still doing that now. I've slowed down a bit in December. Actually, when I spoke to you, I had 160 something, and it's got 200 now. So I've not really slowed down, but just seeing if I should continue doing the articles in the fashion that I'm doing, or as I said before, segueing into a different topic underneath the same kind of the same umbrella.
What was the December revenue for site number 7?
it made $11.91 on Ezoic and $68, I think, on Amazon. And then it made $28 on digital products.
Okay, so I didn't do all the math in my head, but that's a little over $100, I think,
Yeah, just
roughly.
around $100. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So it made about $100, various sources. It's 5 months old. Pretty nice trajectory, and I think it's an interesting niche. I know what it is, but um, it's one that I didn't even know existed. So it's always cool to hear about these. And I guess this is a good point to sort of segue. So Arielle and I are going to be working together on a coaching case study. So I was going to do one with another person who dropped out, and then this worked out really well. And we are going to kind of get started with it in a minor way today on this interview. So one thing that you alluded to was, covering like a subtopic in there. So we'll sort of shift gears a little bit, and we can kind of turn it into the coaching area. So do you want to lay out kind of what you were thinking and the question that you have?
Yeah, so when I started the niche, my aim was to just get in there and dominate that small niche. But like you, I didn't know it was a thing until I looked into it, and then I learned that there was a parent topic that I could have covered, and I would have been able to cover that and all the other things related to it. So now I'm wondering if it makes sense to do some connecting articles to those other topics and then just go and cover those topics.
The answer is go for it and see what happens. It's always hard to say exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's telling the future and no one can do that. So it's impossible to really know. The good part, even without me knowing what the other adjacent topics are, basically you could probably put them in. And when we were chatting before the recording, what it comes down to is the audience. So we can think about how Google might react to it. But if you just think about what the audience is interested in, there's a great overlap. Like it will make total sense to cover those other topics because the same audience is interested in those topics. So even if Google doesn't like it, if your visitors do, that's great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they maybe can navigate over through internal linking. Maybe there's a menu at the bottom and they think, oh, I'm interested in that. I haven't looked into it. Why don't I read some of those articles about it? So it makes perfect sense. Hopefully, Google can figure it out and as they track our every move for the people that use Chrome, then Google will see that people actually are into those topics and they're spending time on those
Yeah.
pages and they're actually navigating from, related topics. So I think in the long run, it'll be fine. And it's so
Okay.
closely related that Google won't see it as crazy and out of place on your site in
Yeah.
general. So I would say go for it, and then it'll be something that we could talk about in future sessions.
Yeah. If it works, yeah. If it works
Yeah.
out or doesn't work out.
So the other area that we talked about, and people are probably thinking this, we talked about site two and how it's earning a pretty good amount of money, the majority, and yet we're talking about site seven and we've seen good growth. So where are you on that? We did have a preliminary call and we kind of decided, hey, it looks like site seven does have a great opportunity. Maybe we should focus on that. But where are you at right now with another few weeks of information and data and thinking?
Yeah, so since we last spoke, Site 2 is the earnings are still going up. It's got the best EPMV out of all of my sites as well. I'm not sure why that is, but it's doing really well. But the issue was at the time I was struggling to find keywords for it, and it doesn't really have many products to promote. So no, there's not going to be much Amazon revenue. In fact, out of the $1,000, I think $9 or so was from Amazon from that. So um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could use new methods and find more keywords for it, but I think with how quick site 7 is growing, and the opportunity to monetize it, and there's so many different ways to monetize this one. So I feel like, yeah, just see how it goes and ride the wave right while it's going up.
Right. For site number 2, are there I know you were just mentioning keywords and, like, maybe you could find more. Is it one of those where it seems like there's kinda unlimited informational keywords, or is it more limited?
Unlimited informational keywords, but very competitive. This is a very, very competitive niche. So I could find the KGR keyword. Well, not technically KGR because it could have only 150 search volume, but then there's like 1,000 or 2,000 that show up with all in title. So yeah, I was coming up with a lot of that at the time.
Okay. And, like, still sticking with site 2, ignoring KGR, would you be able to find just obscure long tail keywords using auto suggest or people also ask?
Yeah, I did quite a bit of that. When I did quite a bit of auto suggest. People also ask, answer the public. But yeah, it was really competitive. There are lots of informational keywords, but very competitive.
Okay. Very good. And I think, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, it is kind of cool that Site 7 has grown quite a bit. And I think potentially, I mean, again, I'm not very familiar with the topic area. It seems like something that's becoming more popular. And by the way, have you looked on Google Trends to see if that is the case?
Yeah, it is. It's just becoming more popular. We spoke before briefly about some of the things that hopefully are coming up in the new year, which will make it even more popular. So not in the new year, sorry, in the future. So if that is the case, then the site will be in a good position when that happens, if that happens.
Okay. And then, similar to the question I asked about Site 2, does Site 7 have kind of those unlimited number of informational keywords specifically, or is it more limited?
Um, it's it's hard to say really because the keywords that I've been targeting, those are unlimited, but then the whole site will be those type of keywords, and I kind of worry about only doing a specific type of keyword, um, a specific type of article, but at the same time, if it's working, keep doing it for now, and and try and find other ones. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I keep saying, like, we don't know until we try it, and it it makes me think about actually even just the AI content and the technique that you described, where I could see that, working on a large scale. And I have heard of, like, the AI generated content sites that have huge amounts of content, and it's very poor quality. It's clear that they're not editing it or fixing it up or using the
Yeah.
tools, like, effectively. It's very efficient. They're publishing like crazy, and these sites are getting like 1,000,000 or 2,000,000 visitors per month. I mean, it's pretty insane. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
I mean, it's working for some people, isn't it, doing it that way? But I think they use API and just auto publish. I don't think they're actually doing any of it themselves. But it is interesting to see that Google is rewarding them for doing that, but some people's articles are being kicked out.
yeah. So, one question that I want to ask that I forgot earlier is about link building. And have you done outreach or link building for any of the sites? Can you tell us your strategy around that?
Yeah, so I have reached out to some companies within the niche. I haven't done any since we spoke, but they do seem they're not blogs. They're just companies. So they don't all have blogs on their sites, but they do have social media. So they'll repost on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. So I do get some visits from that. But as far as building backlinks from that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how well that's going to go unless they have if they don't have blogs.
Sure. And I think, when we talked before, I probably said, it's great for outreach in general, and you may be able to get some social media traffic kind of at a large scale, because there are quite a few companies that are in the area, in that topic
Yeah.
area. So yeah, I think, in the long run, it could pay off, even though it might not be apparent with link building. So, so generally, you haven't been doing any link building. Are there a handful of links to any of the sites?
Oh, to any of the sites.
Yeah.
Yeah, the site two and site three, site two and site three, they have some links. They're not great quality links, but they've got some.
Okay.
I didn't go out and find those. They just showed up, and they're not all those spammy ones. Some of them are okay, but yeah.
Gotcha. And were those like natural links, or did you use a guest posting service or something like that?
No, those were natural. Those were natural. I made some info what they called infographics. I made some infographics and I shared that on Pinterest. I have used Pinterest on two of the sites. So yeah, Pinterest it's done well. It's done well.
Got it. Cool. Well, and I can't remember if I asked you, when did you get started with niche sites in general? Was it late 2000s? Is that right? 2000,
2000.
2020,
Yeah,
2020.
yeah, 2020. September, I think 2020. Yeah,
Okay.
September
Yeah, I
or
dropped 20
October.
years there.
Yeah. Don't know what I was doing.
Yeah. This is like my third interview today, so it's wearing on me a little bit. Okay, it's not you, Arielle. No. Okay. How has the journey impacted your life so far? So you're earning about $1,100 per month. We haven't hit expenses yet, but you're in the investment phase and you have seen some traction. So how have these sites impacted your life so far?
Well, I'm a mother of three, so I won't say it's impacted my life in a great way yet because I'm spending a lot of time doing the sites and whatnot. But yeah, I've spent a lot more, as you said. I'm in the investment phase, so I'm in the red, deep in the red. But it's good. It's good. I've never been so happy about being in the red. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, and the thing is, like, it's things are working, right? So there's a period of time where you're doing investment and you're spending time and capital, and then you don't see any revenue coming back in, but you finally turn the corner and now you see, like, you're pretty soon you're going to be earning more than you're spending
yeah,
each month, and then you'll slowly reinvest and, truly reinvesting right back into the content. So that's great.
yeah. That's it. I don't. when I got into this, I knew it was going to take some time and I'd be not earning anything for a while. But I've had the most faith. Like I know that it's going to pay off eventually. I've been consistent and I keep learning, so I'm not worried about being in the red. But yeah, that's it.
And what tips do you have for people that are kind of in the early phase as well, say like under 1 year, and you're really just ahead of that. So it's kind of a perfect time to ask you what advice you might give, especially if someone's maybe struggling with motivation or something.
Yeah. Be consistent. I know it's easier said than done. And it does start to get easier once you see that dollar, once you earn that consistent $1 a day, that it does start to get a lot easier once you do start earning. But initially, when you're not earning anything, just trust the system, trust the process, keep putting out content, keep learning, keep doing your keyword research. And for me, I read a lot. So I read a lot of law of attraction type stuff, growth, productivity, all of those things. So I think keeping a positive mindset has helped me a lot because I've told myself there's no other way. I'm going to keep doing this regardless. So not quitting and just being consistent. And when you start to see things pay off, you'll be glad that you didn't quit.
Okay, well, this has been awesome,
Ariel.
Arielle. Where can people follow along with your story?
I'm YouTubing sometimes, trying to be more consistent, but I'm on YouTube, Arielle Phoenix, and I've started blogging my journey, ariellephoenix.com. Yeah, you'll probably have to put it in the description or something. 'Cause
Yep, and I'll put links to all the places you just mentioned. Plus, we'll be getting updates from you on a monthly basis, both on the blog, and we'll do like live interviews like this. And it'll be awesome, just following along with the growth, and the trajectory you're on is great. So I'm really looking forward to it. And thanks a lot for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.